In studio tonight, we've got Parascientific Discovery. They're a local paranormal research group. They were actually our first official guest. It's been over 3 years ago. It's absolutely insane.
I'm proud of you and the show and how long it's been going, and
thank you.
I'm so glad that this type of talk radio is back on the air again here in Utah. It's so amazing. I'm just so glad to be here.
Well, we'll keep plugging away. Tomorrow night, first segment of the show, of course, our Saturday night show is 6 till 9. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, we've got Psychic Rose Rosetree going to be on for an hour. And then for the last 2 hours of the show, psychic lawyer Mark Anthony will be here. We had him on before.
Cool.
Mark's
cool.
a cool guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're looking forward to it. Chris, unbelievable stuff. I mean, this is just I mean, some people would say it's craziness, but when you experience it, it probably wants to make you a little crazy.
It's made for TV, that's for sure.
Well, we spent a lot of hours with Chris in his house, and we were able to document some things. And like I said, it's an ongoing investigation, so we still have a lot of footage that we've got to go through to try to see what we've got. But just on some of the things that we have been able to kind of watch, we've been able to document video anomalies going on in his house, audio anomalies going on in his house. He's got a camera in his house that is motion detecting, and as soon as motion sets that camera off, it records straight to YouTube.
Right, so it can't be hacked or anything weird.
And so he's got days upon days of footage where the camera's kicking on for no reason, and hearing people talking in his house when it's supposed to be empty, and things of that nature that we still have to go through.
Have you ever seen apparitions or things?
What's
in the
interesting
house?
is that's the other thing is, and we were talking during the break about where am I at with it? Is it real people? Is it not? Is it I said I'm a lot more confident nowadays that it's spiritual, but there's that part I'll probably never get rid of that wonders. But there were times. There was a time we were in the basement, we were all talking, and I saw something crawl across the ceiling.
Yep, I saw the same. I saw the same thing, and that was the first time I started really believing that Chris was seeing this, because to me it looked like, honestly, I mean, I hate to say, but it looked like a little person crawling up the wall and onto the ceiling. I mean, it looked like a little
upside down.
Right.
There was one night I was sitting in bed, which is probably the strongest apparition I've seen. There's always a waviness to our house. I can see. I've seen in other homes too now.
Like heat rising off of pavement?
It just seems like something's being messed up vibrationally. And there's an experience my wife had before this ever happened to us when we first moved in. And we've kind of gone back to the 3 years we've been in the house almost now and kind of thought about what else has really happened before we were aware. And the house was vacant for a long time. There's been 6 families there in 7 years. It's interesting that the house seems, but
previous owners won't refuse to talk to them about what they've experienced in the house.
So you get a feeling that
it's been happening there for some time. Yeah,
right.
So if it is an elaborate hoax or prank of some kind or gang stalking, they've chose that house to do it. And if it's not, then this entity thinks that it lives there. Maybe its old house was there. I don't know. But one of the strongest things I saw is I was sitting in our bedroom watching TV with my wife one night, watching a movie, and I literally jumped back. I was sitting up and I jumped back, and what I saw was a huge wolf-looking dog thing as tall as your counter here. I mean, 4.5 feet. It was even taller, as tall as our dresser. They came walking right into our bedroom and just dissipated into the floor into a black mass of nothing under the bed. And I jumped up and I said, "Did you just see that?" Because I was amazed my wife couldn't see it. And I jumped up. I ran around the house. I looked upstairs, downstairs. I'm looking everywhere. Can't see anything. Since I've now launched Evolve You and met other people's experiences, they talk about these certain things I've seen. The thing that you were strangled by, this 9-foot beady eye black character, seems to show up a lot with people who are having things happen. So, there's still a big part, like I said, that thinks both could be going on in our house. I don't know. I really don't know why somebody would come after our family.
And it was getting to the point where I think it really knew that we were onto it, because one of the things I kept really trying to hammer home with Chris is, look, if this is an entity, then we got to call it out for what it is. And once we can name it and give it a name and give it a label, we can start to diminish its abilities. Once it knows that we know what it is, then its abilities are going to start diminishing, because we can start breaking it down because we understand what we're dealing with. But one of the hardest challenges that we had with this investigation is last October. Every year we do guided ghost tours at the historic Ogden Union Station.
Right.
And we take groups of 15 people around on these 45-minute investigations, let them use our equipment and things like that, and have some fun. But that particular night that we were supposed to be there, Gary was having problems at his house where he was feeling this anxiety coming up from nowhere.
Felt like
something was in the house.
something was going to happen to me if I left the home.
That's what I feel
It kept making him feel like, don't leave your house, don't leave your house. Well, I didn't know any of that was going on, and I was having these crazy anxiety attacks at my house, and I was being told, something was telling me, don't get in your car, don't go down to the Union Station, don't drive there, don't go. And I couldn't really understand why, but it was just this really dark, oppressive feeling, and I'm like, why is this in my house? We always make sure we take the proper steps to keep ourselves cleansed and keep these spirits at bay so they're not coming into our house, because I have a child and I don't want her around these type of things. And so, we do the necessary things to keep ourselves safe. But what we didn't know what was going on was at the Union Station, the whole, these ghost tours were left to Cole and Dallin to do, and it kind of went.
Honestly, when Alan called me and told me he wasn't coming, the first thing I went to was like, oh, something's happening with Chris, because this case has been going on for forever. And if Alan's out of the picture, it's because he's helping Chris.
The support's been
Right, and Chris was telling me he was having some pretty dark things happening. Tia was calling saying she was crying for no reason. Her glasses went missing when she was getting ready to go to the Union Station. Couldn't find it anywhere. She went to like the most obscure place in her house and found her glasses in a place that she knew she would never put those there. So something was like trying to keep us all from
heading over there.
What was really interesting too is these tours. Normally they're pretty lighthearted. I mean, there's nothing really scary, but the EVPs that were coming through I wouldn't even tell the people what we were capturing because they were so malevolent and vulgar. So we'd get an EVP and I'd look over at Cole and be like, yep, that was an F word, but we're not going to tell anybody that.
Right.
Because we don't want them scared. This is a 45-minute for fun tour.
So Gary decided he's going to stay at his house, and him and his wife are just going to sage the crap out of their house. And so they're there saging. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to let something tell me what I can and can't do. So I got in my car and I drove to the Union Station. And I get to the Union Station, and as soon as I meet up with Cole and Dallin, and as soon as I meet up with them, they turn and look at me, and they're like, whoa. And I'm like, what's going on here? And
he did not look like himself.
Your face looks different. No. They said you've got this black outline that's completely around your – like there's this dark outline around my whole entire body.
It's like I could see his aura, and it was black. And I don't see auras or anything like that. Right. There was like this black mass around him.
And then Tia said the same thing.
It didn't look like him. It was dark. It was he had some weird intent, like he was coming there to beat me up or something.
Right, and weird. And I kind of felt like I had no business being involved in an investigation, feeling the way that I was doing. But I'm like, I don't want to leave these guys hanging, so I want to show up and be there. But I definitely felt that. And then Tia came up to me and she said, "There's something on you right now." And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She said, whatever is at Chris's house is on you right now. And whatever it is, it's affecting me and it's affecting Gary right now all at the same time.
Wow.
And it's interesting as you're talking about that, you guys, because one of the things that, and again, now I'm. How deep do you want to go down the rabbit hole? Do you want to take the blue pill, the red pill, or both? Do you want to take both? Yep. And now I'm in that rabbit hole, not because I wanted to be there. It's like your story, Dallin. This just started happening to my family, and I had to find ways to protect my family, my 3-year-old, and make sure they're safe, and this isn't affecting her long term or my wife, and. It's been really difficult, but the one thing I will say is the more I get into this community, and I'm so grateful for not just your team, but a show like yours as well, because this, for some reason, not this particular energy or what's at my house per se, but just in general, there's a lot more kids right now dealing with things. Mm-hmm. Paranormal, there's a lot more adults, there's some type of a strange, and a lot of your listeners probably know more about this than I do, and I'm heading up this whole concept of Evolve You, but there's some type of shift going on where a lot more people are experiencing this stuff, and you
guys want to take a quick phone call?
It's
sure.
Evil. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, caller. Good morning. Welcome to K Talk. You're on the air.
Thank you. Did you say good morning? Yeah, I guess it is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I'm losing my space-time perspective, and just 10 minutes, 3 hours can just quickly go by. And I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe eventually I can slow my life down. That would be good.
You would.
We all like that.
I'm
Teach us
I'm
how
getting
to-
older, and to extend my life like that would be wonderful. But I was calling about the destruction of the destruction. That's a bad choice of words, but the disintegration of the subconscious, or the world of ghosts, I suppose. I've noticed that to ignore I'm having trouble coming up with the right words. I should probably get some sleep, but I'm finding that the ethereal world disappears when you fail to observe it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of interesting what I said. The world of physics becomes more apparent, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure does.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we try to do as a research organization is not only embrace the spiritual aspect of understanding this phenomena, but also scientifically trying to analyze it as well. We use the law of physics. We use equipment and scientific methods to try to document this type of activity so that not only can we have a spiritual understanding of this phenomena, but also a scientific, logical understanding so we can appeal to many different types of people.
It appears differently to
How
everybody.
can you... I've asked this question for many years. The superhuman world is non-quantified, and from what I understand, it's non-quantifiable.
Right.
Yeah.
In other words, you can't keep statistics. You can't.
Right. And that's why, that's what kind of makes us unique as a research organization is that most paranormal research organizations really kind of stick to the scientific aspects of things, and they will refuse to use the spiritual aspect of things. And so we kind of married both of those things together so that we get an all-around understanding. Because one of the things...
Straight to the point, how did you do that?
Well, just a lot of experience, a lot of investigations, trying to, we put ourselves in very compromising situations as far as negative entities that we've come in contact with because we want to...
Compromised, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely put ourselves in compromising positions to get the evidence that we want because...
We have catalogs and catalogs of data that we can sit and analyze and go over, and we can, point
it doesn't
temperature
make
drop
a
to
bit
an
of
EVP.
sense. No, I'm just kidding there. Usually
sometimes
it
it
doesn't make sense until years down the line you realize what that meant.
Well, and it's just collecting it all. There's no concrete evidence of any of it.
Right.
All you can do is say, here's what's presented. We'll throw it away. We'll grab onto it. We'll try to analyze it, see if we can make some sense
Right.
of it.
Now, how long have you been doing this again?
Well, some of us have been investigating since the mid-'90s. But as a research organization, we've been going strong for probably the last 10 years now. So.
Oh, okay. So you're well into it.
Yes.
Seems like I asked that question before, actually.
No, you're fine.
I got more input there. I got more out of you that time.
Well, great.
Well, hey, thanks for calling tonight.
Well, yeah, my pleasure, and we'll talk to you again.
All right, take care. Have a good night now.
Bye.
See, one of the things, Pat, that we really rely upon, and the only way that we were able to really figure this out was with experience, was using our bodies as a way of communicating with this phenomenon. Because one of the things that we noticed is that when we are getting something happening on our equipment that we're using, our scientific equipment, typically we feel it within ourselves before it actually happens. And so we started recognizing that our body actually reacts to this phenomenon usually before we actually start getting evidence to come through on our devices. And so we make sure that we embrace all those things. And if we can establish like a series of events, that's what we kind of call it, a series of events. If we can get a spirit voice to come through on our digital voice recorder at the same time that that the EMF level is spiking and the humidity is at this whatever it is, and we can get all these things to happen at the same time, or we hear a knocking sound at the same time, then we know, hey, we got a series of events. All these things happened in a chain reaction, and it can't be denied. It can't be a coincidence, especially when it happens so often. And but one of the big things that we've noticed as a team is as time has gone on and as we've been involved with these investigations, especially ones like Chris's where they're pretty diabolical, it seems like once we've experienced the diabolical, every case kind of seems to step up a notch, and it's just getting more and more intense.
There's more of it happening. And like one thing I was going to speak to the caller there is, we've definitely tried. I mean, the first area I tried was ignore, and don't give it attention, don't do the things. But you can't ignore it when you're hearing it. You can't ignore it when you're watching your kid go through it, and you can see the fear in her eyes. And for those of you out there that have kids, it's
it's horrible.
It's horribly difficult to go through. The one thing I've learned is she's a lot stronger than me, and I've always believed my whole life that everything happens for a reason, and I'm always going to stick with that, and it's always for the better good. And that combined with a lot of support from people like Tracy and Royce and you guys and Paul, and just to name a few of the people who have been around, it's definitely helped me through. But you're still at a point of confusion. I've figured out better ways to deal with it, and I wish I had straight answers. I wish we had. One of the things that we want to do, just throwing this out because I've talked to the team here a lot about it with Evolve-U, is we're raising the capital and turning it into a business model through some of these centers and things we have, so that we actually can be able to develop the right type of equipment and provide people with more help and things that they're just, especially in our state out here in Utah, there isn't a lot of things that you can do, without putting a lot of money in. I mean, for example, I had a Peruvian shaman come to the house and charge me $1,500 to guarantee removal of what was there. That never happened, So
the $1,500 happened.
The $1,500 happened, that check went through for sure. But so it's just, that's kind of how our whole concept came up. And when I put the event together, our first event, we saw how many people showed up, and did it go perfectly? No new business ever does. But what was apparent to me was that we definitely have something here a lot of people need help with.
Right, and it went really great for us because we got like 11 investigations out of that one event. I mean, we literally had, every time there was a break, because it was an all-day event, because the event went from like 8 in the morning until like almost 6 o'clock at night.
And you guys don't charge anything for it.
Right.
No, this was just come in and a safe place for those that either, and I hate to use these words because everyone can kind of heal themselves, but those that need to be healed or those that are healers that want to team up. And we're just going to create a giant collective through the events and the centers, things we do, to just bring more together. And the one thing I've always learned, because my background actually was in network marketing for many years, is there's huge power in numbers. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to gain that. And so whatever it is that I'm dealing with or someone else is, we're going to eventually very shortly have the tools that we need to.
Right. To like somebody that may be afflicted with something paranormal, they can come to this center, they can come to this place, and they have the gamut of all these different types of healers that can help them, whether it be a paranormal investigation, whether it's kids that are dealing with certain things. And when we're speaking to kids, one of the things that Gary and I have really started to notice, and we're kind of focusing some of our research on, is Asperger's or autism and things like that. And we started noticing that more and more children that suffer from that are also experiencing paranormal phenomena. And we're starting to notice a chain reaction. We're starting to find out that a lot of these kids are borderline Asperger's or autistic, or they're full blown, autistic, and they're experiencing these things.
Do you think that they maybe experience it more, Alan, because a lot of the mental defenses have been dropped down?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the mental defenses, I think there's an innocence about them that I think kind of allows things to come in. I don't necessarily think that it's always negative things that come in, but I definitely think that they are in tune with I don't know if it's a part of their brain that allows them to receive spirit, or if spirit looks at them, these spirits look at them and see this aura about them that's inviting, like a beacon, and so they come onto them and
And they
speak.
haven't been taught that spirit doesn't exist yet, Right.
Yeah.
Get older, they
Yeah.
teach you that.
I mean, things are formless for children. Everything is formless, and as they get older, they start to put labels on things. And so there's this innocence and peacefulness about a child that is really inviting to spirit.
Well, have you ever know? I mean, just kind of as a, not as an insulting statement. I don't want to people take this the wrong way, but have you ever noticed that usually your greatest musicians, your greatest artists are weird people? I mean, they're
Right,
just
right.
they're strange.
Yeah.
They're different,
Yeah.
and I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're very different. They look at life very differently. They don't get hung up in the day-to-day finances.
Sure.
I've got a friend of mine who's an unbelievable musician. He doesn't care if he's got to sleep under a viaduct. Playing, being a percussionist
That's what
is
makes him
more
happy,
important.
right.
That's right, than anything else. And he's 50 years of age.
Yeah.
So people that I think kind of like you said, let those barriers, they let the gates down a little bit. And maybe because those people do let that down, maybe spirit, whatever we want to call it, maybe it's more prevalent or it's stronger with them to give them that artistic ability to be either, good artists, good musicians, good writer, whatever it may be.
Right.
Yeah.
Couple of questions that were sent in for you guys. One is it says, what type of equipment does your team use? Are you using K2, SB7, IR, full spectrum?
No.
What do you guys
Yeah.
use?
Yes to all of it.
Okay.
We've got the SB7 spirit boxes. I'm going to let Gary and kind of Cole speak to the equipment. Cole.
So a lot of what we do, I mean, our name is Parascientific Discovery. We really do want to bring that scientific side that we can put the backing behind it. A lot of what me and Gary are doing is we're in the electronics engineering technology field. I'm close to getting my bachelor's in that, and what we want to be doing is starting to design our own equipment. A lot of the equipment we use is used by home inspectors and just various
Like the
professions.
floor or something like that,
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, even the K2, it originally started out as like a home inspector tool, and it was about ready to die, and they realized it was an amazing tool for ghost hunting. And so we use those. We use the DVR system.
Mel meters, tri-field meters, IR cameras, illuminators.
Are you the guys were you guys using the grid, the laser?
Yep.
grid?
Yeah, we use
laser grids.
DX device, Ovilus.
I mean, I got to be honest with you. That spirit box, I'm a little skeptical. I've been a ham radio operator for
Right.
46 years. I'm a little skeptical of that. I just got to be honest.
So let me tell you one thing that we really love about it, because this is something that fascinates us. We'll turn it on, and we'll spend a half an hour with just, because it cycles through a quarter of a second per channel. So it's just going through radio stations like that on the AM. And we'll have just like a good half an hour of just solid going. And then all of a sudden we'll ask a question and a full sentence will come through. And we're like, okay, so nothing has been going on for a half an hour, and then all of a sudden we start asking these questions, and then these full sentences are coming through. And if you take that full sentence went across 25 different radio frequencies at the same time. And so that tells us, that's pretty interesting. And one of the things that we saw another paranormal research organization do is they were actually investigating an old military base. And they actually went down into the bowels of this military base with the spirit box, absolutely no interference. They went through the radio dial really slowly. No interference because they were in this bunker. They go outside the bunker, they do the same thing, and all these radio stations are coming through. So they know that when they're down in this bunker investigating and they get voices, that they know that these aren't voices coming through on frequency. These are actually, spirit voices manipulating this white noise to speak.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think they can, again, just with what we've been through in our house and our whole experience, it's definitely frequency related. I can tell you that.
Sure,
because it has to do with the white noise, it has to do with certain areas of the home.
you think about that guy that shot up that naval yard, and he said that he was being
He was
fed extremely
totally
low
right.
frequencies, and
Yep.
it was telling him to,
Yep.
do the things that he was doing. So obviously frequency can be used and manipulated. We've seen it because one of the things it hated at Chris's house was, like, we had a tone generator that we would go these extremely high and low frequencies, and it
Sure.
would start screaming at Chris, and he was
we've
telling
had-
us,
we've had
turn that
people-
thing off.
Yeah, we've had people in there with, I had a sound healer come in with his gong and different tools they use for sound meditation, and during his gonging, it was the loudest I've ever heard, and it, stop
screaming
hurting
and yelling.
us and this and that, and you definitely didn't like it.
Right.
Then the next
You
night
just
we're
like, man, keep banging, brother. Just,
Right.
Oh, I
yeah.
just told him keep banging, but I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing.
Yeah, we had Buddhist
I'm
bells. We were
translating.
banging Buddhist bells. Everything we
There are
possibly
certain
could.
things that it just definitely doesn't like a reaction to, and so there's that side of it that's just, again, I've always said, like with the whole Bobby thing, we're trying to explain the unexplainable. That's all we can do. All we can try to document what we can document, give people confidence.
Do we think that the spirit box is like perfect? No. It can definitely be perfected, but it's the tools we have at this point.
Right.
And if it can get better, we want to be on the forefront.
And that's why we wanted to embrace the spiritual side by bringing intuitives in, because one of the things that we really like is if we can get an intuitive and to verify all the evidence that we captured, then we know that, well, once again, it's that series of events where we're actually gathering scientific data and comparing it with a psychic's reading, and when they corroborate with each other, where it really floors us and makes us realize that, hey, look, there is something to this phenomena. It's not just something that, stories that have been passed on through the years that people, don't really know. They say, are ghosts real? Well, go out and investigate, and you'll find out. I mean, because they're all around us. I mean, they're everywhere.
I always wonder, being that now I'm so deep into this, is it interdimensional? What is it? And I know one of the things that would really piss off these particular beings that have messed with my family is, me getting a recorder and recording. Mm-hmm. And then I start getting just swearing, and don't you have to record, and if you record, your family's dead, and if you catch anything, and we've got a lot. I mean, I have a recorder with 48 hours of recording.
Yeah, I mean, even when Gary and I were walking up the driveway to come into his house, he said he would be looking at us through the window, and he would that the voices are saying, don't let those investigators into this house, or you're going to pay for it. You're going to really pay for it if you let these guys in. Yeah. What are these ghost hunters going to do in your house?
They can't help you. You can't get out of this.
Right.
Your family's screwed. I mean, that's all the typical jargon and threats. And
here's the big question: Why? Why you? Why do you think you?
That's the question that I've always had, and not only have I had that question, I've asked it, and it's the thing that again helps me kind of go back to the paranormal side of things versus the other conversation we're having is that there's always a different excuse. It's because of this or a past client or a past partnership or a past this, that. It's never been the same thing.
It's given them a million reasons as to why it's doing what it's doing.
But it's any fear that you would have in your head as if it can pluck them right out of your head.
I mean, it even told him that he was part of a government project and that they had satellites above his house and they were watching him.
Stuff like that.
I mean, it just every time it would change. At first it was we're gang stalkers, and then it went to we're a government project, and then it went to we're the
former business partner.
Right, a former business partner of yours that, you owe me money, or just all sorts of different things, and it would just continually change, and so.
And it couldn't have happened to, I mean, we're the type of family that we're very big on, we've never really been church-going type people, but spiritual as far as law of attraction and, just believing in creating your future and also just ethically treating people the right way. We've always just tried to help out our family, the people around us. To me, I always sat back and I asked the question why for months and months and months and months. What I came up with is there isn't a why. There really isn't a why. This is a completely random thing. We moved into the wrong house. I don't know.
Right. Well,
but I've been told if we leave the house, we'd be followed.
Right.
So there's no reason to leave.
Well, and one of the things that from my scientific research and just from investigating there this whole time, doing research on the property and things like that, we've had intuitives come in and say, there's a ley line going right through your house. It's like a spiritual highway. It's like the highway that spirits use to move, and it's going right through your house. His house is dug deeper than anybody else in his entire neighborhood. It goes further into the ground than anybody else. It's right at the base of South Mountain, sacred area for the Goshoot Indians tribes that still exist out there in Grantsville. Their tribe is still out there. And I'm sure they can tell us tons of stories.
There's an idea to contact. I mean, that's
right. I mean, so there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of those things. If you look at the history and if you look at what had happened in that space, it seems to me that maybe there was some intuitiveness in his family, coming from his wife, whose sister was extremely psychic, and then him kind of tapping.
On my side, after talking to my parents, she said there's things that were happening to me as a kid that, I would say certain things or have things happen. I mean, as I go back and look through the years, I've had experiences, but I've just never had it where it's like, bam, in your face,
Right.
The female who called herself grandma, hasn't been heard now in a long, long time. And now it's just the male. And there was several in the beginning. So part of me has thought maybe we've helped clear some things, and this one's stronger. I went to psychics who said, this thing's after your soul, and it's a totally different ball game. This is a whole. I had a friend in the house who he's a videographer and does a lot of movies, and he's worked a lot of paranormal teams doing filming for him. And he just said this is a whole new kind of evil. I've never seen it, just like you guys do.
Right.
But as we've got more into this community of where I'm at now with this new project, is like there's more and more people experiencing it. So I can't explain it. I don't know what it is.
Well, and one of the things that really, Dallin was just mentioning to me.
It's like it's everywhere.
One of the things that kept getting picked up on by some of the intuitives that were coming through was the name Legion.
Right, Legions came through many times. Yep.
It's come through many times. If you look into demonology and things like that, Legion is, many. And it means many spirits. I am many, and he's had a multitude of different entities in his home.
Now it's down to just one.
Now it's down to just one entity that's harassing him. So it's almost like this thing can multiply itself, or it's almost like schizophrenic.
When you go in the house, when you guys go in the house today, if you go in there right now, do you notice something is different in your house? I mean, do you?
There's days that I go in the house and it feels like sunlight and sunshine and brightness. My wife's texting me saying that. There's other days we go in there. I walked in there one night last week and I went, the house feels black.
Right. There are times that he would call me and say, it's a full moon outside, and as usual, it's crazy. Every time there was a full moon outside,
always bad with
he would call me up. Every time I looked outside and saw a full moon, I said, Chris is going to call me tonight. And he did.
And thank God they were there for me.
Do they bug you when you try to sleep at night?
Oh, of course, yeah.
I mean, you're trying to fall asleep.
Sleep deprivation has been a huge part of it, and now we've
and not even just sleeping, but intimacy. I mean,
everything.
A lot
of sections of my life, and what we've noticed is, one of the techniques someone taught us was burning candles, bring a lot of light and fire into your room and into your home. We've done that. The second those candles go out, wake the, bam, and it just hits me, and so I wake up and I light more candles and it calms down. And so there's techniques we found that work, and that can work for other people, but we can't explain them. And it's going to be very interesting to review the probably 8,000 hours of footage you guys now have on my house.
36.
I mean, literally
I have 48 hours of my own personal recording when I would hear something in the car and I would press the recorder, and sometimes it would shut up, and other times it would keep talking. And I'm interested to find out what's.
We've had two cameras. We've had 2 cameras in his basement in the hot spots.
I have audible devices in the house
since September. I mean, literally just rolling 24/7.
Hours.
Yeah.
You pick stuff up on these things.
Oh, yeah. We've gone back and reviewed it and caught things, and we're like, we got to keep going. Or an intuitive would come over and try to do a clearing on the house, and so then we wanted to see how the house was after she left, and so we'd leave the cameras rolling. So, there's been probably many different healers that have gone through this house that have been, captured on our cameras, doing what they do.
Sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's not. It's really weird.
But, I mean, to kind of flip the whole thing here, we're talking about all these dark things that we've experienced, but there's been a lot of things that we've experienced that have been really kind of cool, and these spirits are actually interacting with us in a positive way, and we've actually been able to learn from spirits, knowing, because I think after a while, spirits kind of pick up on how to manipulate the devices that you set out in front of them, especially when it's a place where it's frequented by, paranormal investigators, and they start understanding that they can interact. But I think they also, value your intentions. If you go into a seminary or into a cemetery and you're setting up you're setting up a campfire in the middle of the cemetery, like one of the cemeteries that we always go to, that's extremely active. That's where they were at tonight.
We were just there a couple hours ago.
They were just there a few hours ago. Your intentions, and if you go in there pushing, because you have to understand, it's like if I were to come into your office and you had no idea who I was, and I sat down and just started berating you with questions, you would be like, get out of here. Who are you?
Right.
We always come in with great respect. We offer them things. We offer them, we offer things out of respect and let them know. One of the things that we're planning on doing this summer is there's a couple of abandoned cemeteries, historical cemeteries, that have kind of been overrun with weeds and things like that, and the fencing is starting to fall down. And so as a service project, we're going to go out and we're going to paint all these fences. We're going to clear it all out. put down like a plaque out of remembrance to these these people that have died, that are there, that are forgotten. So I mean, we always want to try to not only delve into these really dark things, because that's obviously the fascinating things, but we also want to pay tribute to the dead and the ones that we're communicating with, because we all know that one day we're all going to be dead, and all those spirits we communicated with are probably going to be waiting for us.
Yeah. One day I'll meet this guy. I'll tell you that right now. And there's going to be some words thrown. But I will say too, just on my side, a lot of positive has came out of it. Everything. A mentor of mine told me, he knows the whole story of everything. He said, if these people were hired to really mess with you, he said they're doing probably one of the worst jobs ever.
Right.
Because I've seen you become a stronger person.
Yeah.
You've actually, started some things here, and I've had positive experiences as well.
Well, like I said at the Evolve You event when we were doing our presentation, one thing I said about Chris was when we first met him, he was going through so much turmoil. I mean, his whole family was being affected. He had family members sleeping on the floor in the living room because they were terrified to live in their house.
I would never leave the house alone.
He never left the house.
I was told they were going to get back in and recharge their devices.
And I mean, and just all this fear, and calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, I'm terrified, my daughter's terrified, and then to see him standing at the Evolve You event as the founder of this whole operation that's going on. Was a testament to all the healers that he came in contact with, as well as our research organization coming to him, believing in him, giving him the strength to empower himself, and so now we're sitting here rather than him worried about being at home.
Oh yeah, I was in a bad spot.
So let's talk about Evolve You. So when's you've got something going on tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow, there is a event happening at the Healing Light Center, Healing Center of Light, yeah. In Murray, which is Tracy and them. And if you are interested in that, you can go to the Evolve You. So it's evolveyou.info.
Okay.
Like us on Facebook, send us a message. It is starting at 9 in the morning, specifically for children. It's one of our big passions. Seeing what my daughter went through, it's clear that we need to help there. And even if it's just to bring people up to a higher level of confidence, then that's what we're going to do. We've learned techniques at work.
Right.
So there's that event. We have an open house coming up here towards the end of April. More events in May. We've actually been asked to go out and help work with some pretty cool groups and corporate stuff and things. And so
you got some cool sponsors.
Yeah, very cool sponsors that we've got tied into Cam Williams, which she's big in the healing community, and her site even and different things. And so best way to stay in touch is to go to that site and like us on Facebook. That's where we're trying to communicate as best we can with everybody. But we do have an open house coming up for anyone on the show that might be of a healing modality. We prefer to call them light workers because that's really what we're interested in looking for, is people that are in line with our mission of helping others. And, right now we're kind of at a phase where we're growing, we're raising capital, we're going to build things the right way. And with a little bit of backing behind us, I really want to get a chance for this team here to be able to build a lot of the devices they have ideas for. And there's a lot of things that they've got that can be patented and used for further research and documentation and and if nothing else, I mean, we will have a part of our team that will be able to go out and do a bug search on someone's house.
And it's called Evolve?
Evolve You. And actually, so just like Evolve, EVOLVE, YOU.info. And that'll link you through to our Facebook and stuff. And then we've also got a lot of other sites and things that are kind of up, but that's one of the main ones people can use through your show to get in contact. So there's several events coming up, and then we're planning to have another big event probably in June. And that event we're going to be probably pushing about 1,000 people in the room, and healers / people who need to be healed or need to find a place. So we just encourage everyone to reach out to us, let us know what's going on, reach out to these guys here, to Alan and his team. And
you can find us on Twitter, on down, all that stuff.
Alan's been tweeting.
I'm a big Twitter man. So it's at PSD Crew UT is our Twitter. And then our website, you can just go to parascientificdiscovery.com.
Yeah. Or psdutah.com. It's easier to spell out.
Yeah, that works too. We're actually kind of revamping our website right now, so look for a video coming up on our main page. We're doing a web series kind of documenting everything that we're going through. We've got 2 cases put together. about a 20-minute video. So if you want to see what we do and kind of experience it with us, you can watch that video. It should be up probably tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, we're going to have that up.
As well, we're going to be
And
doing
we got a
some
lot of video footage
events.
for you guys from the event too. That we can get to you.
We're going to be doing some events where we're going to take groups out to these cemeteries or haunted locations and kind of give them a crash course in the paranormal, because we didn't really have a start. We just kind of went on our own until we figured it out.
Right.
And so we want to give back to these people who are interested and give them a venue to kind of figure out if this is something they want to pursue further, if it's just, they don't want to go down that road, whatever.
Right.
We're going to be there to give them a
It's
tour.
not all glamour. It's not all glamour.
It's a lot of sitting in the dark.
As you can hear, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So all that's coming up, and like I said, it's on the website and on our Twitter. So
one of the things that Gary and I have been, really working on, and it's a daunting task, but we've got years of investigations, and we've actually started kind of compiling the stories that we want to put together for a book that we'd like to publish about our investigations around here in Utah and the things that we've been a part of. Some of the theories that we believe in and that we've come to understand, and some of the equipment that we're using, some of the new stuff that we're going to be using. Link it to our website, like I said, psdutah.com, also on Facebook, also on Twitter. So we've got a lot of things coming up. Like I said, a lot of things with Evolve U, a lot of things with personal clients. If you need to get a hold of us for help, you can contact us through Facebook. You can contact us through psdutah.com, and you can just send a message to us. Day or night, we'll answer. We'll come to you for help. So
one other thing too, I'll just throw this out there too for Al and his team, because we do have a 800 number set up for Evolve U. So if you need to reach through to them, or you want to reach through to us over a phone number, our direct line is 888-362-3644. So, social media is always an easy way to keep in touch, but the phone number, sometimes we need to call. We've had some pretty amazing calls. If you've got technology that can help, if you've got ideas, if you've got anything that would reach out and help somebody, you want to be a part of this group, the intention is to create a really close knit of maybe 50 to 100 people in the healing modalities that we would call light workers that are helping with these types of things, and then really raising a lot of capital so that you guys can build the equipment you need. So I just, I don't believe that anything ever happens on accident. Even being here tonight or being a part of your team, and again, Alan, I got to give you and Gary and Dallin, your whole team, just so much credit for when I did call you at 3 a.m. being there, and not saying, hey, $1,500 due, And so and of course a lot of credit to Tracy and Royce, who actually are at my house right now with my wife and trying to help do what they can to help clear things out from yesterday. So. There's a lot of help out there for people who are experiencing this stuff, and there's only going to be more and more with the concept that we've got. So the number, again, if you need it, 888-362-3644. Check us out at evolveu.info. You can reach this whole team, through here. And this is just a small extension. We've got a really decent group of people that are all with the same mission in helping create a lot lighter world out there, and a lot of safety for people that maybe just don't have it right now.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'd like to be involved with it. That'd be kind of a cool thing, and
absolutely.
Help you out any way we can. And we
great.
had your event, we promoted. Just let us know. And we got to come out to one of these. And it'd
Yeah.
be cool to come out and do some interviews at these events and just sit down with people. And
You'd be amazed at some people you meet. We had just
like I said,
stories.
every time there was a break, our table would just be flooded with people wanting to talk to us about, I've got this going on in my house, I've got that going on in my house. One in particular, we actually went out and investigated in Salt Lake. We investigated a rental property, and the guy was having a hard time getting the property rented out. And so he wanted us to come and check it out for him. And we went out there and did an investigation, left the place going, nah, it's not haunted. There's nothing going on. And then Gary gives me a call and he says, listen to these EVPs I just captured there. And I'm like, what? And then I start listening to my devices, and I go, holy crap, look what I just caught. And then
he shows me,
and then everything's just starting to blow up, and we're like, man, it didn't even feel haunted, but it was something there. We actually captured a few things that were.
We have that happen once in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
We've actually had that happen. We actually brought a couple of some EVPs from that investigation that we.
let's play a couple of them.
Okay.
We can do
sure.
a few. Sure.
Why not?
So now this is. We got them loaded in here, I believe. This was.
So the ones in particular that I have up there, they're I think they say 21st. Those are the ones that the investigation we did in Salt Lake.
Okay.
Let's play this first one. Does it say have
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so what's going on in here is during this investigation, we kept seeing this weird light anomaly going on down in the basement.
Okay.
And I say, Gary says, could this be a play on our eyes? And we get a response, which is really interesting.
It's
trying to load.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do. But this is, again, where was this investigation? Where did this take place?
This investigation was in Salt Lake, and it was actually kind of the sugar house area of Salt Lake, so kind of the older homes.
Near the old...
yeah, there's an old mental hospital that's now converted into these apartments.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so...
oh, my gosh.
Who would
I
want to
know what
live
you're
there?
talking about. You're kidding me. You're not talking about the one on top of the hill there?
No,
Up
this one...
above, like, Capitol building?
No, this is...
Okay. All right, that place I wouldn't...
Yeah, this
That's
one...
probably a place we should refer you to as well.
We'll see here. We'll see if we can... we'll see if we can open this up with Audition. Usually, it can open just about anything. So
Okay.
let's see what we get. So this is an old building you were in then, correct?
This was an old house. This is somebody's property, and
1910?
it was built in like 1910.
Right.
So very old house.
All right, let's give it a try. This is
Okay.
called I Don't Know.
Eyes.
Right there.
Right there, how weird.
Completely not there now that it's dark.
Let's go ahead and knock it up a little bit. Here we go again.
Eyes.
Right there.
Yeah, right there.
Completely not there
Yeah,
now
that
that
is
it's
just
dark.
so creepy.
You hear Gary say, "Do you think it's a play on our eyes?" And then you hear the response say, "I don't know."
Right there.
Right there.
Completely not there.
You know, and that's the thing when you listen. That's the thing when you hear these. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. It just makes you scratch your head. It's shocking.
It is shocking. Okay, what's the next one here? What's another one we got?
You can go by the 21st that says 21st stoned.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
this is weird.
on the what was it?
The obvious X.
Yeah, the obvious X. We get this word that comes through the word stone.
Okay.
And so Dallin says, "Do you mean stoned?"
Because
Did you guys
it was a drug house at
yeah.
one point.
So did you guys used to do drugs here? And then we get this response.
Okay, let's play it.
Right back there, bro. Stone. You mean stoned? Do drugs in here?
That
Jump to
that
point
whisper
zero.
right there.
Yeah.
Back down.
So it's right over here.
Right. Right there.
Jump to point three.
And if you listen to what he says right after you hear it, you hear him say the EMF detector just spiked
Yeah.
and then it went right back down.
Yeah, as we
Right.
capture the CVP in the background, I'm saying, whoop, the EMF just spiked.
Right.
Jump to point three.
0.3
Back
EMF, yeah.
And it went back down.
Wow.
So as that voice came through, the EMF detector actually spiked up to a 0.3, which tells us that it was manipulating the EMF to actually speak at that time.
What's another one on here that's pretty
Let's see, what else do we got?
good? He's got to mess with it. Camp Floyd radio station.
Oh.
How about let's do tattoo dinner.
Okay.
Oh, this one is great.
This investigation we did was in Layton,
Okay.
and it was the old Lindquist mortuary that was turned into a tattoo parlor.
Okay.
And we get the most amazing EVP to come through here, and you hear me say something like, "Can you feel us?"
Can you knock 3 times
or something like that.
Yeah.
But you hear
It's a residual.
It's a residual response of a woman talking to a man, and it's so clear what she
All right,
says.
let's let it go.
So what it says is,
this you talking?
yeah, you hear me say something, and then right after that you hear a woman's
Right
voice,
here.
and what it says is, "What should we have for dinner, Harry?" And you hear a man say, "I don't know. Let's go see what you got."
Okay. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is
What should we
amazing.
have for dinner, Harry?
That is amazing. That is
When
absolutely
you got
amazing.
my house the first
Yeah.
time to get out.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
loud.
Let's do one more on this disc.
Let's
What's
do
the other
the-
one?
We got. Let's do the. Let's do
Dr.
Dr.
Kearns.
Kearns. This is at the Tooele Hospital.
It's funny how I knew you were going to pick that one.
Right. So I'm in this room, and I'm kind of getting the vibe that there's a woman spirit in this room. And I actually say that. Is there a woman in here? We need to know that you're here so we can document it.
Okay.
And we get a response.
All right, here we go. This is Asylum 49.
Is there a woman here with us? Is there anyone here? We need to know that you're here so we can document it. It's just like Dr.
Right there.
That's her right there.
That's her voice.
That's an EVP, yeah.
We didn't hear it while we were there.
It's just like Dr.
And it sounds like to us like it's saying they just talked to Dr. Kearns.
It's just like Dr. It's just like Dr.
That is, I mean, it was me, it was Gary and myself that were in this room. No women were in this room with us, and we get this response. They just talked to Dr. Kearns, almost confirming to us, we don't need to answer you. We've already answered for it.
That's unbelievable.
So
unbelievable, guys. We have gone through 2 hours way too quick, and I don't think we've even scratched the surface.
No way.
But we've got to get you back on really soon. Let's not wait 3 years.
Yes.
Now, when is the next Evolve? Again, the
tomorrow.
So tomorrow, the event tomorrow is actually not. It's an Evolve You sponsored event for children, but it's kind of a test for that run. And there's a few other people involved. Mainly Tracy's heading that up, but we are going to be having an open house here pretty quickly, and then after that another event. So best thing to do again is to go to the evolveu.info site and just like us on Facebook because we post stuff on there every day, helpful advice, new stuff.
Right, and we post from our Facebook page as well and all of our social media
and
sites.
We copy a lot of that stuff right over.
So pretty soon you
them.
think something's going to come? You're going to have another event pretty soon?
Oh yeah. We've already got events in the works and things. It's just a matter of space, how much room are we going to need this time, and we booked enough room for 300 people last time and had 320 show up. So. Wow. There's an overwhelming response. That's just here in the Valley. We had people traveling from all over, amazing sponsors. Good Earth was a sponsor, and so this time we're looking at Whole Foods and a few others, and so we've got to work some of that out. But the next big event, we're probably looking about 45 days out. In between there, we're going to have an open house that's really focused more towards people that want to get involved and be a part of the solution.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Absolutely. Drop us an email or a phone call.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming
Thank you very much.
Staying here late, and
our pleasure.
We definitely need to get you back in. Chris, an amazing story. Could write a book on this.